Hey guys, here's a couple of my flat earth maps. It's so interesting to study about Antarctica because they have this Antarctica treaty in the 50s. The governments were exploring Antarctica and they found some stuff out and they didn't want to tell anybody. Operation Fishbowl. There's a lot of stuff if you'll research it. But Antarctica is actually not a continent. It's actually a 360-degree ice wall that goes around the geocentric flat earth. It holds the seas in. And anywhere you try to go to the Antarctica, like the closest place over here, they do have tours and they allow some people to go there. And it's kind of close. But if you'll notice, everywhere else on the ice wall, it's so far away. Like, there's the size of the United States. Well, look how many, it's like 2 to 3 United States just to get to the edge. So that's why no one goes to it. That's why it's such a secret. And that's why people can be fooled.
Oh, you mean like this? Is that what you're referring to? All the way around? Lining up with the latitudes, just like the compass? Because there's only one fixed direction to the center source of the magnetic field created by the, the source magnet, the point charge, whatever you want to call it. Strange how the equator lines up too, huh? Weird. Very strange. Looks like I have the exact same thing that you said I wasn't doing happening on the screen. Weird. Very strange. Strange coincidence. Oh, wait a second. My compass seems to be pointing in one direction. Like it always does. The bar magnet attracts iron at both sides because it's two different magnet fields.
Orientational polarizability, one fixed direction.
I learned the earth is flat, and I'm still intelligent, happy, excited, productive, successful, curious, thrilled, and sane. But most of all, I'm connected. More connected than I've ever been in my entire life. Come join me. Research the flat earth for yourself. Have a great day. I love you. Bye.
So I was talking about how NASA had to turn off their comment sections of all their YouTube videos, and this guy said, well, what's the big deal? A lot of people turn off their comment sections on their YouTube videos. Yeah, like the World Economic Forum and the CDC and FEMA, and wouldn't you guess it, the White House. Yeah, so when you talk about a lot of channels having their comment sections turned off, it's probably for the same reason that these guys had to. Oh, how'd that get there?
12 billion year old body of water discovered floating in space. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. The firmament separates the waters from above from the waters below. See, when I read stuff like this, I always keep in mind that they could be speaking in code. Because for one, space is not real. Nobody can leave the firmament. So for space to be real in the way that they describe it, it would contradict their very own Bible. So when I read this, I'm basically hearing, oh, there's water above the firmament. And this ain't a discovery. They've been knew this. And by the way, just so you know, this was recent too. December 10th of 2023. Honestly, it's things like this and the moon landing being fake and so many other things that lets me know that we actually just might be under a firmament. And we're actually encased in water. Now, I'm not a fan of organized religion, but I am a fan of ancient codes and texts. And in the book of Genesis, it speaks of a firmament that separates the waters from above from the waters below. And if America believes so much in God, put your right hand on the Bible and swear, and in God we trust. How is that possible if y'all be talking about going to space or space in general? Nobody can leave the firmament. It says it in Genesis. These are the contradictions that I don't get. And it makes me believe more in the things that I've been researching. And literally the things that they show us and literally tell us in our face, if you pay attention. But yeah, this right here just makes me believe more in the actual firmament. And a couple other things too, for real.
I'm just gonna show you pictures, screenshots, and then you decide whatever you want in your life, in your corner. Look at this, Sydney to Rio de Janeiro, from Australia to Brazil via Los Angeles. Oh, by the gods of creation of the globe. Oh, the Gleason map made after, no, scientifically and practically correct British Empire, and also the air map. Of course, it makes sense. It doesn't make sense here. It doesn't make any sense. Wow, sense on the spinning ball Earth with curved water on the exterior of a sphere, 70%, but it does make sense here. Sydney to Rio de Janeiro, and the biggest city connecting after you cross the major Pacific Ocean, and then from the western coast of the States, you go, because it's like halfway. So Los Angeles is exactly halfway between Sydney super and Rio de Janeiro super, big cities. Gosh, it makes so much sense. Let's see more. Oh, here's a comparison. So you see the Mercator map, which is, and then you see, you know, the globe. So yeah, doesn't make any sense. Why would you go all the way up and then like that? Why don't you just go in a straight line and you stop somewhere if you need, like in the middle of nowhere in the French Polynesia, for example, in the Pitcairn Islands or whatever? Go in a straight line, man. Especially because we have like free energy with planes. No, I know it's easier. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. Okay, let's go. So this is Taipei to Los Angeles. 12 hours, that's a lot. We go North Pacific Ocean, but when you have an emergency landing, I do not understand why do you do the emergency landing in Alaska. I see. Because you go from Taiwan with Taipei, you know, Taipei, Taiwan, you go in a straight line because a straight line is the logical way. It's like the shortest distance is a straight line. And of course, if you have to make an emergency stop in the middle of nowhere, Alaska is a good stop because, you know, the United States of America. So civilization there. So you go from Taiwan to Los Angeles. Now it makes perfect sense. Why? Because like here on the globe, Alaska is very far away. So why do you stop in Alaska? You should go in a straight line. Why do you go in Alaska? Because it is exactly in the middle of the, you know, like land. So that's land. I mean, honestly, it's better to stop in Alaska than to stop in Russia. In many ways, right? Especially if the flight is American. So yeah, it makes sense. Hey, Hong Kong to Los Angeles, also in the North Pacific Ocean, very important cities. Let's see. Of course, if something happens in between the flight, and especially if the flight is from America, for example, you stop in Alaska because it's American territory, you know, in a straight line. It makes so much sense. But look where Alaska is on the globe, spinning in space with 70% curved water on the exterior of a sphere at 1,000 miles per hour. Oh, scientifically correct. It's part of the British Empire. So, Chicago to Doha, you know, the big city, also a very major flight. And in a straight line, it goes through Portugal and Spain in Europe. Let's see. Of course, if you have to do a major like stop, you do it in a big capital city of the world, Moscow. Makes sense because Moscow is exactly on where the straight line is, you know, and you know you have a big capital there, Moscow, so you're definitely like in good hands there. So yes, it does make sense, but it doesn't make sense here. In Australia, you go through Spain, but you don't go to Spain, you go to Moscow. Spain and Portugal are very far away. So this one is very struggling for me because, you know, after, you know, like Canadians and Australians are a big part of this channel, but now what am I going to do? Because, you know, like, because they're on the globe, they're so far away, Canada and Australia. So are Canadians from Vancouver like in a straight line, and then Australians from Sydney upside down, or are like Australians good and Canadians upside down? Or is it like, you know, because the Earth is spinning, they're upside down according to how the position of the Earth is in space? So right now Sydney is okay, Australia, but Canada, Vancouver. But if you look at the world like this, then it's Vancouver, Canada. So I'm struggling because I never know how to please everybody. It's impossible to please everybody on a spinning ball Earth with 70% water. But when you see the flat plane, everybody's pleased.
On July 8th, 99% of the world is lit up.
Happening right now across the globe. As of about 3 minutes ago, 7:15 Eastern Time, 99% of the entire world's population is facing the sun. That means we're all experiencing some degree of sunlight at the exact same time, either full daylight or, for a lot of other folks, twilight. if you look at the map right there, just the Pacific Islands and Australia, the Australian region, are fully in the dark. 99% of the world.
And California. Poor California.
Yes.
You know what? What a cool phenomenon.
Thing to bring us all together, literally to bring all of us together, because at this moment, I'm talking right now, 7:15, 99% of the population of the Earth is in some sort of daylight or sunlight. Now, this is due to the fact that the Earth has a tilt to it, 23.5 degrees. So it's the way it's rotating around the sun and the way it's orbiting in general. But right now, at this time in the calendar year, this doesn't happen every day. This only happens today, and it only happens right now. 7.68 billion people are in daylight or in twilight. The only spots that are not in daylight right now are Australia, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand. Outside of that, the rest of the world is in daylight. You like that?
Let's make a model and see what's going on. Okay, here's our globe model, and there's our sun down there. Now let's set the right degree of tilt. Okay, here's our globe. We're going to set it up at 19 degrees, because that's where it should be on July 8th. Okay, so here's the sun shining on the globe at 19 degrees. Now let's take California and put it in the dark. And now let's trace the line of the sun. Just make sure we don't turn the globe. Okay, now let's turn the light on and take a look. Okay, so the orange line is where the, right there. And all that land is lit up. It should be lit up. All this land should be lit up, but it's not. Except for Australia and New Zealand down here. So that's not working. Check out all the land that doesn't lit up on the globe. Half of Russia, most of Asia, Mongolia, half of India, Thailand, Philippines. It's a pretty big, huge spot that's not lit up. Okay, so here we are on a flat Earth map, and 11 o'clock is like universal time is somewhere right around here. Okay, so let's put our sun about 11 o'clock. And let's put California in the dark. And there you go. Look at it. Worked pretty good. Everything's lit up except for Australia and New Zealand. Just like it's supposed to be. It works pretty well. That's pretty awesome. And I don't see any other way how you're going to explain this one.
In some volume, V, and over here is going to be vacuum of equal volume, and we're going to remove the barrier. You know what's going to happen spontaneously, right? The gas is going to fill the available volume once it becomes available. Take a gas, and over here is going to be vacuum, and we're going to remove the barrier. You know what's going to happen spontaneously, right? The gas is going to fill the available volume.
I had a scripture, and it's nothing new or nothing really that profound, but I want to share it with my friends, whether you're Christian or you believe in scripture. Basically, if you believe that Messiah was crucified, died, and was resurrected on the third day, but you also believe in heliocentrism, I have a little thought for you. In John chapter 17, the very beginning of that chapter, it starts out with Yeshua lifting his eyes to heaven, up to heaven, when he addressed his Father. And here's the problem for you believers who believe in heliocentrism and also say you believe in the scriptures. Which direction is up on the globe model Earth? There's no verses in the Bible. There's tons of examples in Scripture of people lifting their eyes to heaven, people raising their hands to heaven. Can you find a single verse where someone lowers their eyes to heaven or just puts their eyes horizontally to heaven? Because that would be the case on the spinning ball model. I know because for many years I was a believer who believed in heliocentrism. And in my mind, and in a lot of believers' minds who believe in heliocentrism, heaven isn't above us as the scriptures say. Heaven is basically like extra dimensional. It's in another dimension. So to try and reconcile that with the very simple truth that Messiah looks up to his Father, he ascended up to heaven. When people raise their hands and they raise their eyes or they raise their voice to heaven, it's always up. This silly notion in heliocentrism that heaven is this extra dimensional place, that when they were building the Tower of Babel, they weren't trying to reach up to heaven, they were trying to build something that took them to another dimension. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm just encouraging you as my family and Messiah, if you still believe in heliocentrism, start looking at the simplicity of Scripture. How does the earth flood, the entire earth flood on the spinning ball model? It's very simple to understand on a biblical geocentric stationary model. We know that Antarctica has the highest overall elevation of any continent on Earth. So you could see the water filling in and covering all the land. How does that happen on the ball? What do you say when it says that Yah created the sun and the moon and the stars after the earth? How can you not clearly see that contradicts modern heliocentrism? I think it's unfortunate that so many believers can easily see through the lie of stardust turning into water, which turned into plants, which turned into animals and people. They can see through Darwinian evolution, but they can't see their nonsense. They can't see through the nonsense of the globe model Earth. And it's unfortunate. But those times are changing. I think you just have to look at Scripture through very simple eyes and realize, look at John 17. Messiah raised his eyes to heaven. It's not an extra dimensional place. It's above us. His kingdom is directly above us.
The Flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived from 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also of the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alankar, known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo. I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific Ocean where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.